Hey everyone, Rob here from the Snapcast, and today I'm going to cover my first in the Snapcast's 12 Decks of Christmas. So I picked this one as my top one because during Standard this time, I really love playing red and green. Many of you know I still fawn for those colors, but I really enjoyed the Dragons deck that I had built at the time. This was Theros and Khans of Tarkir block that we were playing with, and it was great. I gave him my best finish for Standard, that being second place at States. And I was there with both Chris and Alex. They didn't do too well that day, and so they were able to be there, cheer me on, and it was good being able to finally get that good top 8 finish. With this deck on turn 1, I had the great ability of playing either Elvish Mystic, or on turn 2 then had Sylvan Caryatid coming down, both of which are great for mana ramp. Sylvan Caryatid having the added bonus of being hexproof and it mana fixed, so I wasn't just locked into green like what we have with Elvish Mystic. And with it being an 0-3 body, I was able to get some early blocks in against your lower to the ground aggro decks. Coming in at my 4-drop, then I had my Corsair Crewfix, and this was great too because again, it's another good blocker. It's a 2-4 body, so this one's able to even put out a little bit of damage and take out some of those lower to the ground guys. And then it also acted as a as good life gain too. Deck does run 24 lands, and it also kind of helped filter a little bit in that I could play the land off the top of my library. The only downside to it is my opponent did see the cards that were coming up, so it gave them a heads up, and they could kind of see either one what I was building in my hand, or if I was playing it immediately. They had that anticipation of what was going to come. At my 4-drop, at 2 creatures, and then my planeswalker, I had Ashcloud Phoenix, which ended up being, when they first spoiled Ashcloud Phoenix, I didn't know how to feel about it. Chandra's Phoenix was the first of the Phoenixes that I played with, and it being a 3-drop with haste, I really enjoyed it, and the recursion that I had from the graveyard to the battlefield made it that much better. Um, One thing I did like about Ashcloud Phoenix is that when it dies, you return it back to the battlefield face down. So you had a morph already, and it acted as a 2-2 body. So if I just wanted to use it for blocking, I could do that on the swing back if it died, or if I intentionally knew it was going to die, I could block with it, and then I could morph it. I actually used that at an open to draw a game. My opponent was at 1 life, I was at 2, and I knew I was going to lose on the swing back. Ashcloud Phoenix had just died, so instead I morphed it, killed us both, and game 2 resulted in a draw. So that was, I wasn't going to give him the win, and I'm glad it happened that way because we didn't even do a game 3. We had come to time, and I ended up winning that one 1-0-1. Um, Planeswalker, Xenagos. For those who aren't familiar with Xenagos, it was one of, definitely one of the best red green, maybe paired up with Domri Raid. And Domri Raid had rotated out, so sadly I didn't have access to him. But the plus ability on Xenagos just adds more mana, fuels that mana ramp. So this 7-drop in Dragonlord Atarka really isn't, that impossible. Also, the zero effect, so when it hits the battlefield, it's going to protect itself with a 2-2 Satyr token, and that 2-2 Satyr token acts as mana ramp, because on its +1, you add X mana in any combination of red and or green to your mana pool, where X is the number of creatures you control. So say I turn 1 Elvish Mystic, turn 2 Corsair or Caryatid, then turn 3 play this, his plus adds 2 more mana right there. Or I can 0, play a land turn 4, and now I have 3 creatures on board, I have 4 mana on board, and now I'm going to be able to cast my Dragonlord Atarka. So you can see where this ramp effect comes in. The other 4-drop is the second best dragon, I would say, to come out in Thunderbreak Regent. For 2 and 2 red, you got a flying 4/4. Already immense value. But then the additive ability of whenever a dragon you control becomes target of spell or ability an opponent controls, Thunderbreak Regent is going to deal 3 damage to that player. So now it's a shock on a stick. If they want to kill my Thunderbreak Regent, they're going to be taking 3 damage. And I came into this a lot playing against Thunderbreak as I was going through this states tournament. And there are a couple of times when it put me close, and it's a skill tester of, can I block it? Am I going to be able to block it, or do I need to get rid of it now? And generally it was get rid of it now, because you're only taking 3 vice to 4 on the swing, or it clears a path for you to attack. So it was kind of difficult to determine what you wanted to do with it. At my 5 spot, I had, in my opinion, the best Stormbreath Dragon. Flying, haste, and protection from white. So for 3 and 2 red, you got a 4/4 body with that, as well as Monstrosity. For those who aren't familiar with the Monstrosity ability, the Theros block had this effect on quite a few creatures, and it is an additive bonus once the creature was already on the battlefield. So you would play or pay its Monstrosity cost, and it was instant speed. And then it would get whatever +1/+1 tokens the Monstrosity number is. So in this case, it's Monstrosity 3. So I would be able to make this a 7/7 4/7. Then there's the added effect from it as well. And all of the other creatures had this added effect. Pretty sure, don't quote me on that. Stormbreath's was, when it becomes monstrous, it deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. This was great against control because they always held up cards in hand. It was a good finisher too, and that if you just need to get that last bit of damage in after a swing, or just anything else, whatever they have in hand, that's going to bite them. So that was it's really nice being able to have this backup direct damage to that player. And then of course there's Dragonlord Atarka. For 7, you got a Flying Trample Legendary Dragon. That's an 8/8. Again, value city all over it. And when it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponent controls. So you can slam this, you can take out Elspeth, you can take out whatever planeswalker he had out there, a Johnny, Ashiok. Ashiok might have rotated out by then. But just if there's another Xenagos, you can kill their Xenagos. There was a lot of utility behind that. Or you can clear the board if he's trying to go wide. He's putting down a bunch of goblin tokens or anything along those lines that you just needed to get rid of. And that allowed you to handle it. The mana base. So Khans of Tarkir gave us fetches, but we lost the Shocklands of Return to Ravnica. So we were left with some enter the battlefield tapped. So life gates is what we refer to them as. And then we also had our Scrylands. And I went a 4-2 split on this because scrying is definitely a lot more beneficial than just gaining 1 life, is how I saw it. 2 mana confluence also for mana fixing, and 3 Haven and Spirit Dragon. This did multiple things for us in this deck. When casting a dragon spell, it added 1 color of any mana to your mana pool. For a dragon creature spell, it's specific. Also for 2 mana, 2 generic, you can tap, sacrifice this, and then you can return a dragon creature card or Ugin planeswalker from the graveyard to your hand. So, you got some graveyard play with it, as well as it being not really a Cavern of Souls, because it's not uncounterable or anything like that. But it allows you to choose the creature, or it allows your dragons to be cast with this without really satisfying the basic land types. And then of course 4 Wooded Foothills, just again to help fix mana. 4 Draconic Roar, great instant speed spell that we had. As an addition to the cost, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. It deals 3 damage to target creature. Then if you reveal a dragon or you control one, as you cast Draconic Roar, then Draconic Roar is going to deal 3 damage to that creature's controller. So kind of like Searing Blaze, but without the you don't have the landfall mechanic. It's a guaranteed 3 damage, but if you have a dragon in hand or in play, then you get to deal 3 to the face as well. Kratos Claws were always good. You're almost always getting the ferocious mechanic off with it. So again, that's another great way to finish off your opponent. Xenagos' Plus, again, fuels this. It's an X cost burn to the face. Downfall was it was sorcery speed, but that's fine. They're ferocious on this. You added 2 damage. So whatever X was, just add 2 more. And then Roast. This was needed because Siege Rhino is very prevalent, so you needed to do something to kill that 4/5 body that just wants to slam down and continue to wreak havoc. The sideboard is interesting. I believe I talked with Jerry a little bit on this one, or not Jerry, Alex. Well, we didn't know Jerry at this time, and I think I talked with Chris too. Two Arbor Colossus to combat dragons or anything else with flying. It's a great 6/6 body with reach for 5. I guess the drawback whenever they developed it, they saw that it was 3 green, but that didn't matter too much. And its monstrosity was really good too. So for 6, so the very next turn you can monstrous this thing. It becomes a 9/9, and you can destroy target creature flying and opponent controls. So 6/6 body when it drops, great blocker. The very next turn, if you have nothing else to do and you have land, then you get to make it a 9/9 and destroy some creature with flying. Hornet's Nest was an amazing creature to have. It's a 3-drop for an 0/2 with Defender. So already it's not looking too great, but if you read its ability, whenever it's dealt damage, put that many 1/1 green insect tokens with flying and death touch onto the battlefield. So if your opponent has some 1/1s and he's stupid enough to keep swinging in, then you just create almost an infinite amount of these flying bees with death touch. Or I could roast it. I could roast my own Hornet's Nest, make 5 of them, and now I'm protected from flying. Hornet Queen was big at this time. I wasn't running it. There were some decks that did. I value Dragon Lord Atarka way much, or a lot more than I did Hornet Queen for the same cost. Destructive Revelry, there were just enchantments and artifacts I didn't want to deal with, and again, just more burn to the face. Wild Slash. This was a good one because you can't prevent damage if you had Ferocious active, and it was just it was a shock. His shock with Ferocious, that was it. Nissa Worldwaker, this was a good 5-drop planeswalker. She had 2 pluses and then her ultimate. The 2 pluses were +1. Target land you control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature token with trample. Or sorry, not creature token, just creature, and it's still a land. And then the other one is add 4 or untap up to 4 target forests. So enter the battlefield and immediately you get to untap 4. So really you only paid 1 for her, and then you can play something else. Corsair Crewfix. Again, we didn't have the Stomping Ground, so you couldn't utilize that, and then untap Stomping Grounds and play one of your dragons. But it was just nice to have that ability. Mob Rule, one of this card won me both the semifinals as well as my round 6, I believe it was, or round 5. So for 6, you get to choose one. You gain control of all creatures with power 4 or greater until end of turn. Untap those creatures, they gain haste until end of turn. Or untap or gain control of all creatures with power 3 or less. Same effects then. Untap those creatures, they gain haste until end of turn. So it was almost like a Harness by Force, but global effect. And then you chose. You want 4 or greater or 3 or less. And the mode I chose was 3 or less both times, because the guy was running like Manus Riders and a few other like low to the ground creatures on that Jeskai aggro, and it was very nice being able to kill him with his own creatures. Add an extra roast again, just because you never know when you need to do whenever you're going to face those Siege Rhinos and that. And also it generally came in with the Hornet Nest too, to ensure that I can roast my own Hornet's Nest. And then Seismic Rupture. Goblin decks were prevalent. You had Goblin Rabble Master running around, Hordling Outburst, and a few other things. So people were really going wide with goblins, and just being able to get that like that Pyroclasm effect out there, but for 3, it was really nice. Sure, it doesn't affect flying creatures, but it was it did the job that we really needed it to do in this deck. Late game, it wasn't too great because you were probably going to hit your Mystics. You're going to be doing damage to your Caryatid, to your Crewfix. If you have any tokens from Xenakos, then that's definitely going to, put a hurt on that. But the deck was a lot of fun to play. What I ended up losing to was Mardu. And the guy just, all of his answers ever. Butcher the Horde, straight out destroyed. He had Goblin Rabble Master to just keep feeding into his Butcher. So it was it was really disheartening because it was really quick, but it was also very satisfying to see that, something that we collaborated to build and then run did very well. But that's it for me. This was my first deck. Stay tuned for more from Jerry, from Chris, from Bobby, and then we're going to have a couple others too that we just select. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a fantastic day, and Merry Christmas, everybody.